You've heard the stories, right? That for the right price, in the darkest corners of the internet, you can hire a professional killer. It's one of the web's most infamous and, let's be honest, terrifying urban legends. It fuels countless movies and TV shows. But today, we're going to peel back that fiction and find out what's really going on.
I mean, we've all seen that scene. Some shadowy character logs into an encrypted network, and with just a few keystrokes, they order a hit as easily as ordering a pizza. Hollywood has burned this image into our brains, and it's a powerful one. So that's the multi-Bitcoin question, isn't it? Is there any truth to this digital ghost story? Well, the answer, it's probably not what you're thinking. Okay, let's pull back the curtain on this whole thing. The reality is, frankly, a lot less cinematic and a whole lot more pathetic. Forget these sophisticated criminal enterprises. What we're really talking about here is just fraud. The myth promises these shadowy syndicates, these elite professional killers communicating through secret coded messages. But the reality? It's just common scammers, opportunistic thieves. And they're not using secret codes. They're using slick, professional-looking websites that are totally, 100% fake. And they pull it off by building these websites that look incredibly convincing. You know the vibe. Grim Reapers, crosshairs, all that stuff. They even have detailed price lists, for everything from a broken leg to a full-on fatality. They promise total anonymity and, this is key, they demand payment only in untraceable cryptocurrency. For someone who's desperate or naive, these sites look legit. So what happens when someone actually falls for it? This is where the scam becomes almost brilliant in its simplicity. It's the perfect crime, because the victim is, themselves, trying to commit an even bigger one. So here's how it goes down. First, the would-be client places their order. Then, they transfer their Bitcoin or whatever crypto they're using. Third, they hand over all the sensitive, incriminating details about their intended target, names, photos, you name it. And then, step 4, crickets. Absolutely nothing. The scammer just takes the money and vanishes into the digital ether. And this is the most crucial part. The whole scam works because the person who just got ripped off has zero recourse. I mean, what are they going to do? Call the cops and say, "Hey, officer, the hitman I hired to murder my boss just stole my Bitcoin?" No way. They have to just swallow the loss and stay quiet. Now, you might think that's the end of the story, right? But sometimes the con evolves into something way more sinister for the buyer. What happens when the fake hitman decides they can get even more out of their so-called client? This is where the power dynamic completely flips. The person who thought they were hiring a predator, they suddenly find themselves the prey, because that scammer is far from done with them. It's what's known as the double cross. All of a sudden, the scammer holds all the cards. Think about it. They have chat logs, payment records, the target's info. All of it is hard evidence that the buyer tried to solicit a murder. And you better believe they're going to weaponize that evidence. And the threats they make are terrifyingly effective. The scammer might threaten to send everything to the very person the buyer wanted dead, or even worse, they'll threaten to package it all up nice and neat and deliver it straight to law enforcement. Suddenly, the risk of getting exposed and facing a long prison sentence becomes very, very real. So far we've got scammers and blackmailers. But this rabbit hole goes one level deeper. What if the person on the other end of that website isn't a criminal at all? What if there's something else entirely? And this brings us to the final, and by far the most dangerous, layer of this myth. Because sometimes these websites are not what they seem. They're actually digital traps set up and monitored by the authorities. And that is the ultimate reality check, isn't it? The assassins might be a complete fantasy, but police and international cybercrime units, they are actively patrolling these dark corners of the web. They create what are called honeypot sites. These are fake assassin portals, designed from the ground up to look exactly like the scam sites we just talked about. But there's one crucial difference. Every single click, every message, every crypto transfer is being logged as evidence. And right here, we see the ultimate reversal. The person who logged on looking to make someone else a target has now become the target themselves. They think they're hiring a killer, but in reality, they're just confessing their criminal intent directly to the police. And the consequences here are severe, and they are very, very real. Police follow that digital trail right back to the buyer's door. Arrests are made, not for some fantasy crime, but for the very real crime of solicitation of murder, which carries some seriously long prison sentences. So, in the end, the dark web hitman isn't really a single person. It's a multifaceted trap. It could be a scammer stealing your money, a blackmailer turning you into a victim, or maybe even a detective just waiting to spring their trap. The outcome is never what the buyer expects. Because in this story, the only thing that really dies is the myth itself.